Oh, my shirt
Your
twister.
shirt
Oh
goes.
my gosh. Hi. In this video, Danny is going to show you proxy models.
Okay. That's what I need to mention. Okay, thank you. All right, let's try. Let's do it. Okay. In this video, I'm going to show you how to implement multiple user types in Django by using proxy models. Let's do it. Hi, my name is Daniel Feldroy, and I'm going to show you how to do multiple user models with Django in a way that is going to blow your mind. All right, so this is a common use case where people will have a site where they have different types of users. An example might be a school administration system where you have students, teachers, and admins, and they might have different methods and properties attached to their models. And what I've seen people implement are one-to-one foreign keys to other models. Like you might also have a student model, a teacher model, an administrator model. I've also seen concrete models used. These often are frustrating to deal with, and a little bit, and in the case of concrete models, they're very fragile and they're a nasty performance hit on your system. Well, I'm going to show you a way that ties really nicely into Django's user system and will run fast and is extremely stable. For my test project, rather than do a school administration system or a hospital administration with doctors and nurses and patients, and I'm going to do Spies. I have a test project that I created called Spybook. It's a social network for spies. That's right. Spies need a social network so that way they can get together, they can talk about capers and all that good stuff. So here in our users app, we have a user class, and this is right out of cookie cutter Django or Django Crash Starter. I think originally when I wrote it, I borrowed this maybe from the official Django docs or something else. So this is not original. This isn't unique in any way. So it should work on pretty much every project. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define a type field. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to use a car field. The reason why I'm using a car field is just because it's simple, it's easy for the purpose of this tutorial. If enough people ask for this, then what I'll do is I will write maybe a tutorial to show you how to do it with array fields, so that way you can have more than one user type for a particular user. So you could have someone be, in the case of our example with spies, we might have someone be not just a spy, but also a driver. So we're going to assume that a user type isn't more than 50 characters long, and we're just going to leave that here for now. And then we're going to define a type class, and for this we're going to use the text choices. This is an enum for Django. Traditionally, we've all used tuples or lists to define different choices or choice fields, like our new type field. But here, actually, I'm going to call this type, so it's a little bit more obvious. But for this, I'm going to be using the enum. Okay, so now I'm going to put in. That's the value that's going to be stored in the database. I like to put them in all caps. Recently, I found that by doing that, it's a little bit easier to spot it in logs and also reports. And yes, I know that we can format stuff with string methods, but it just makes it easier because it means that also in the table, if I have to look at a table, it's exactly what I want it to be. Okay, so now for our choices, we're going to specify our choices. And our choices are going to be types dot choices, and then the default, we're going to assume that if it's not specified, you are a spy. Okay, so that is what we're looking at. That is a change in our table, and that is what is going to drive everything. Okay, so now that we've defined our user model, or we've added our field to our user model, let's add the spy and driver models. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to define our spy model. We're going to inherit right from the user class. And we're going to, in meta, we're going to do proxy equals true. And then let's do a second one, class driver, which also inherits from user and also has a proxy of true. Okay, so these are proxy models. Now, the important thing to remember about proxy models is they are, Black just rearranged everything if you're wondering why things just suddenly moved. So the way that proxy models work is that they don't create new tables. This is literally driven off the same table that is this table, and same thing with this. And what I can do then is I can build custom methods and query sets and stuff like that. But you know what, rather than talk about a bit more, let me just show it to you. So first I need to make a migration, and so that way Django can add this type field to my database. So okay, it's building. Oops, make migrations. And it's thinking for a second. Oops, we have, there's a time when you could do that in Django, and I sometimes make that mistake. All right, let's try it again. We're going to make our migration. Okay, so this is not going to create tables. It's just creating a reference in the Python code to it. And then we're going to add a field type, the field type, its name type to user. So let's run it. We're running the migration. Okay, so now let's go into the shell and we're going to see what it looks like. We'll create a few sample records. Okay, so now what we have is, just so you can see, this is an empty database. Okay, so everything that we put in is going to be added to the database. And spy is, if I scroll up, you can see that from spybook.users.models, driver and spy have been added to my model space, ORM model space. I don't know the term for that. So we're going to stick a username. The spy is going to be, hey, I'd like to be a spy. So the username is Daniel, or we'll make it pydanny. Let's go with the classic name, and my email is pydanny@example.com, and then my type is going to be user.types.spy. Okay? Now, if I go back and I check my users, oh look, I'm in the database. I'm here as Danny or pydanny, okay? And if I also check here under as a spy, look, I'm also a spy. Let's see if I'm also a driver. Oh wait, I'm a driver, but didn't I create myself as a spy? I did. The thing is Django wants you to write out the controls for this yourself, so that way you can specify how you want things. So let's make it so that way if I do spy to objects at all, I'll show up, but the same won't hold if I am not a driver. So, and to do that, I'm going to use model managers. Models.manager. Okay, and then def get query set. And we're just gonna we're just going to replicate what it gives us out of the box. So that way, what this means is this is the query set. When I do all or filter or stuff like that, This is the query set that is called that powers all of these, or in this case, it's going to power this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do filter type equals user dot types dot spy. Okay, and I'm going to activate that by going objects equals spy manager. Okay, and let's also create a one for, we also need to create one for drivers, because right now I'm constraining what shows up as a spy, but I'm not doing the same for drivers. Okay, so I have a driver manager. I'm going to add it to my driver. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to reload this page. Okay, I'm going to have to exit from the shell, and I have to do this so that way Django can load up the new model definitions that now include spy manager and driver manager. Okay, so now under spy, okay, look, I'm a spy. I'm a user. Now let's see if I'm a driver. No, I am not a driver. Let's create a driver. So the way to do that, if I go up here, so here's the thing. Before I create a new user, see how this basically duplicates what the user model does, right? What if I could have a way where spy.objects.create or driver.objects.create, because I want to create a driver, what if I could do it so that way it would actually create it based off of what type I'm creating it under, what type of proxy user type. All right, and the way we do this, okay, is we're going to override the model save method. Okay, so every model has this save method. We're going to again pass an args, args quargs. Okay, and before we get too much further, we're going to make sure that it absolutely works. Okay, so and then if not self.pk, then we're going to do self.userType, self.type, and this type, when we're talking about the type, this is the type field that we attached here to the user. I'm going to comment it. What type of user are we? Okay, so we're going to set that. This is a spy, so I can do user type user dot types dot spy. PK, not PL, PK. Okay, so now what happens is that if the record doesn't exist, the user will have the spy type attached to them. And we're going to do the same thing for drivers. Okay. Right, and then, that already existed. That's okay. Let's just move forward. I'm resetting the shell. I'm restarting it because I need these custom save methods to load up. Okay, so I tried to create myself as a, as a spy again, which didn't make much sense. So instead what I want to do is I want to create my driver. And my driver, I'm going to have my wife be my driver. That's Audrey. Okay, so now Audrey is a driver. Let's see what we have in our database. Okay, so our database says, oh look, we have a driver. If I check the spies, I'm a spy. She's a driver. Now let's check all the users. Look at that. So here you can see that Audrey's a spy, or we're both users, and we're both showing up in this query set. So this is really nice. Let's check it with a second spy. My daughter is going to take after me. She also is going to be a spy. Oops, I don't need to do that, do I? Did I? Yes, so I don't need to specify what type of user she is. And so now if I go to spy.objects.all, I am joined in spydom. Was that a word? Spydom? I am joined in the career of being a spy with my daughter Uma, and Audrey is going to drive us to and from danger or in the middle of danger. Let's demonstrate one more thing. And what I'm going to demonstrate is spies. What is something that spies do? I think what spies do is they have secrets, or they whisper secrets. So we're going to add in a whisper, and what whisper will do is we want something that'll show up on the shell, or that gives us a value. Return whisper. We're going to keep this really simple, just so you can see how things work. Okay, and drivers can accelerate, right? That's what they're really good at. So go faster. Audrey, if you're listening, I know you're a cautious driver. This is just for the example of this video. So please forgive me. We know that you are a safe, careful, cautious driver. Okay, so we're going to pull this up again, and come on. Okay. All right. So here I'm going to grab the first Okay, I'm going to grab the first driver. That's Audrey. Driver equals, so we have our first driver, and we're going to try and whisper. Okay, so whisper is something that spies have, but drivers do not. Okay, and we got an attribute error. That's because a driver, as you can see, doesn't have the whisper method. Now, on the other hand, if we have Audrey call her accelerate function, she goes faster. Okay, and conversely, let's say we get Uma involved in our occupation as spies. There's Uma, and we can say, "Can you whisper?" So she can whisper. Can she accelerate? No, she can't. So these are just methods that don't change any data. They're simply returning a value. But there's some really interesting things that you can do with having different types of users set different values based off of which proxy model belongs to them. The other thing that's interesting is that this query set, as you can see here, the reason why, where is it? Our managers are up here. The reason why we specify this is so that way if we wanted to have people with more than one type of user, so instead of having, let's say we had types models.carfield, and for this we couldn't accept choices. That's the downside. So it gets a little bit more complicated, and I'm not going to implement this. But let's say car max length. Probably do this at 255. This is that way. What you could do instead of having this query be a where is it? Instead of this query being type, just simple type, it would types in, or it might be, so it might be types in, so that way if the types is equal to that. This is kind of a clumsy approach, or I think it's contains. Is that it? It's one of those. The other, what I would suggest, instead of doing types this way, is do it with foreign key relationships, possibly. With a many to many field is one option. Another thing is if you are doing this with Postgres right now, or I think in Django 3.2, even MySQL and SQLite and all databases with Django have array fields, so that way you could have an array of strings that you can evaluate against. And I may do that in a future video if enough people like this. If you do like this, like and subscribe. If you want me to show you how to handle multiple user types, let me just fix this so I'm not breaking stuff. Yeah, we're going to fix that real quick. If you do want me to be able to account for multiple user types, so that way you could be a spy and a driver, or a student and a teacher using the classic university method, then, please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much, and I hope you find this useful.